Mirchi FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार, हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची एफएम लंबा साथी.
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot.
देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय. Tangi taupo में Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singatoka, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva.
It's hot.
हम इंग्लिश लंबासा में रहता है, तो क्या बताइए हम मिर्ची एफएम सुनता है.
Mirchi FM, बहुत जुलूम जुलूम.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Tonight, remains of Reverend Thomas Baker unearthed in the Vuilevu. NFP prefers civil servants at polling centres. And FRA maps out new projects for 2014. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. A foreign national who was detained by the Immigration Department without what he felt was a proper explanation is now demanding answers. The Bangladeshi man had a dispute with the family sponsoring him in Fiji and ended up being detained by immigration. He was released on Sunday night from the Grand Melanesian Hotel, where he had been held for 3 days. Christopher Chand reports.
Ratnakor Chakma was released from detention after being held by the Immigration Department at this hotel since Friday. Chakma claims he was unfairly detained and treated like a criminal. The head of immigration in Nandi, Chone Lendua, says Chakma was detained after the family he was living with lodged a complaint. Lendua says the Bangladeshi national was a risk to the family but was not being deported. Instead, he would be asked to leave the country on his own accord. On Saturday morning, an immigration officer arrived to escort Chakma to the airport, where he was supposed to be put on a plane and sent back to Bangladesh.
Yesterday I called. What do you allowed to take for them? You're not allowed to take for them. You know you can shoot you. Call the police. Call the police.
Chakma continued to protest with the immigration official.
No, I have this one. I have this witness. This one.
Just give. No. You want me to take you or I will call the police? Because we are late now. Because we are waiting for you from 5:30. Because the plane is closed now. We are waiting for you.
Minutes later, a security officer and a hotel staff shoved our camera away.
What is this? What is you coming from? Don't look at. What?
FBC News continued to record from a distance.
Brother, don't put that in the news. Hey, brother. Hey, brother. No. Why do you keep letting down?
Chakma eventually missed the flight and remained in the hotel where he was being held in detention. On Sunday night, he was released from the so-called detention center and made to pay the hotel bill, which was in excess of $400. He wasn't given a detention warrant, nor was he given a removal order to be deported. Tonight, Chakma is still at a loss as to why he was detained for 3 days, released without any explanations and made to pay for detention. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
A historic discovery was made today during the renovation of Baker's Hall in the Vuilevu Nausori. Carpenters stumbled upon the last remains of the famous Reverend Thomas Baker, buried in 1933. Josephina Vula reports.
That contains Reverend Baker's arm was seen today while the renovators were renovating the floor. Reverend Ilimeleki Susu of Ndavuilevu says the bone had been passed around before it was buried.
On the 7th of June 1926, the Reverend MacDonald gave that piece of bone to Reverend C. O'Lelin. And C. O'Lelin kept that piece of bone until 1933. On the 27th of June 1933, O'Lelin and the Ndavuilevu students of that period then buried the bone of Thomas Baker inside under the platform under the platform of the Baker Memorial.
Reverend Susu says they placed the pulpit over the casket.
The bone was placed inside a casket, okay? And it was deposited in a hollow concrete block under the platform of the Baker Memorial Hall.
After the renovation, Reverend Susu says the casket will remain in the building to commemorate the late Thomas Baker, who was killed on July 21st, 1867 in Navosar. Josephine Nobula, FBC News.
Political parties and non-government organizations were briefed about the progress towards the September 17th general election by the Electoral Commission this afternoon. Chanel Sivan reports.
Political parties, aspiring candidates as well as NGOs were present at the elections office this afternoon. Discussions included how persons with disabilities will be voting in the general election.
We had a representative from the disabled organization who gave us some very insightful comments on how, as an electoral office, we should take that into consideration, and that will be part of the overall planning as far as the electoral office is concerned.
Commission Chair Chan Ban Yang says they will consider the comments from NGOs and political parties and include those in the ongoing voter education program. The Elections Office will open applications for NGOs to register their voter education programs.
By the end of this week, they will be able to apply for certification to provide voter education that allows them to do so under the provisions of the electoral decree, as long as they satisfy certain conditions, and that should be forthcoming in the next couple of days.
One of the concerns raised by the political parties was why civil servants were not being included in manning the polls as in the past.
We should use the civil servants. They are already declared as public officers and considered to be apolitical, and we believe that the elections office should use civil servants on that day, extensively with appropriate, compensation and allowances to make sure that there's a smooth process of voting.
We wanted to keep the electoral office as totally separate from the civil servant. So we're saying that you are no longer government employees per se. You are part of the electoral office. You are independent. And that's the reason why we have gone down that route.
The Electoral Commission has also assured to Fijians that the September general elections will be free, fair and credible. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
Awareness teams from the Elections Office will hit the ground running next month. Election Supervisor Mohammed Saneem says the education material is almost ready. He adds the awareness campaigns will be multifaceted. The Elections Office has received $7 million from the PNG government, part of the grant promised to assist Fiji with the polling.
There's 4 phases of voter education. It starts with when to vote, where to vote, how to vote, and all Fijians should vote. In that, the teams we are currently recruiting, and the how to vote is what you're asking. The teams will be going out probably towards the later part of next month.
There are 119 days left before the election. Coming up, elite nurses squad promotes professionalism.
Today FM is #1 here in Singapore.
We love Today FM in Lambasa. It rocks!
My favorite station in Nandi is Today FM.
Listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks in Sabah.
Loto kasi di love Today's Kid Music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Vunival Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Bulan 2 saya Tolu FM, enapan 2 raki-raki.
Bula FM nampan 2 inosor.
Go etawa ke buat kola sa Bula FM nga.
Bula FM nampan 2 korbo.
Bula FM nampan 2 sawa.
Bula FM nampan 2 lotok Bula.
Nampan 2 nang Bula FM memba.
Bula FM
nampan 2 NSR in Singapore.
Kalau talitak na warung ng Bula FM lotok.
Du ali akar warung Bula FM nampan 2 NSR.
Bula FM nampan 2 NSR.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. The Fiji Roads Authority will begin new upgrade projects this year, including the upgrade of jetties and rural roads. The FRA Rural Roads Program has an allocation of more than $8 million. Savara Tambua has the story.
Some of the new works have already begun.
Top on the list is Nemborbore and Kasavo, which experienced landslides in February. These two stretches of road need a completely new design.
Since the slip occurred back in February, this is at Nemborbore on the Kings Road, and also just south of that the Kasavo slip. So these two projects are large-scale land movement that needs to be remedied in some way.
$1.5 million will be spent upgrading two rural roads in the Central Division, Lakan Irrigation and Vesa Farm Road. $2.2 million will go towards upgrades in the west, and $4.2 million will be used to fix 5 rural roads in the north. Pacific Marine and Civil Solutions has won the contract to upgrade the Natovi Jetty in Tailevu at a cost of $2.2 million.
There's going to be room for the construction of a duplicate ramp on the northern edge. So that's been discussed with the shipping companies. Everyone's very, very positive about this revised design, and we expect that to be completed within the next few months.
Investigation and scoping for all 2014 Rural Roads project was completed in April. The FRE says most projects have contractors on site, others have been tendered, and some project scoping studies have been undertaken. Sabaira Tambua, FBC News.
More than 80 nurses are now part of an elite nursing squad formed a few years ago to improve professionalism and ethics. Shireen Lata reports.
The elite nursing squad has only been around for 2 years, but it's making progress in leaps and bounds.
We have the intention to continuously train more nurses in this area, and also continue to assess and evaluate the impact in terms of patient care with the elite nursing squad. And we'd like to see after every 3 years we get a new, we have these people move on and get more around in terms of training.
The main objective of the group is to train nurses who will role model the concept of professionalism and ethical practice in service delivery. The initiative was also introduced to address patient complaints more effectively and provide better response to patient needs.
The roadmap to sustainable socio-economic development, Pillar 10, is improving health service delivery. And you see, the country has continued to receive more overseas visiting medical teams in country. So we needed to respond to improve that service and to look at specialist services.
Elite nurses can be found in the 3 divisional hospitals and a number of sub-divisional hospitals around Fiji. 25 nurses have been trained from CWM Hospital and the Central Division, 30 for Lautoka Hospital and the West, and 25 for Lambasa Hospital and North.
Particularly those that are already working within specialized and subspecialties. These are the ones that we've handpicked to train them.
Wanga says they are planning more training on nursing practice and patient care. Shireen Lata, FBC News.
8 men have been acquitted of rape by the Lambasa High Court. They were charged with rape involving a young woman in Savu in January 2013. Judge Justice Janaka Bandara said the woman had opportunities to call for help before entering the vacant house where the alleged crime took place. The court also found the woman herself didn't report the alleged attack. It was her uncle who came to know of it and went to police. 2 of the men are the woman's cousins. There will be 10 public holidays next year. Cabinet has approved a National Sports Day public holiday. Minister for Sports Viliame Naupoto says the government recognizes the value of sports and the immense contribution our sportsmen and women have made. Naupoto adds the new public holiday is to encourage national participation in sports across all sectors in society. And on that note, here's Jamie now with the day's sports news.
Thank you, Jackie. Great news indeed. Good evening. Coming up, secondary school 7s revived after 5 years and expect more funding for sports in 2015. Details after the break.
It's always Gold FM for us at Golden Point, Raki Raki.
Gold FM is #1 in Lusaka.
Gold FM is Nandi's best radio station.
It's always Gold FM with us here in Singapore.
Old is gold, and Gold FM is #1 here in Lautoka.
Singatoka loves classic hits on Gold FM.
We listen to Gold FM here in Tagua.
We love Gold FM in Bang.
We've got beautiful beaches, people, and Gold FM in Raki Raki.
Lautoka loves the classic hits on Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Bato Bahe, Bame Radio Fiji 2 के कौन सा के रोके ऑनलाइन क्लियर
रेडियो फीजी 2 रकी रकी के लोग ज्यादा सुनते हैं।
नैनी में हम सबकी पसंद रेडियो फिजी 2।
तालेबू के लोग रेडियो फीजी 2 सबसे ज्यादा सुन रहे हैं।
मेरी पसंद रेडियो फिजी 2, मसूरी में सभी को पसंद रेडियो फिजी 2। टावा में रेडियो फिजी 2 सभी कोई सुनते हैं।
रेडियो फीजी 2 रॉक।
रेडियो फीजी 2 आई लव यू।
देश की धड़कन रेडियो फिजी 2।
Welcome back to FBC Sports. The Fiji Secondary School's Sevens rugby competition will be revived this weekend after a lapse of 5 years. And it will be more than just school's pride at stake, as places are up for grabs for the national junior side to the Youth Olympic Games in China. Tsale Ndawdakadaka has more.
Top secondary schools from around the country will grace the Suva Grammar School grounds this weekend for the national schools competition. This is in line with the Fiji Rugby Union's aim to select the national squad for the Youth Olympic Games in China.
We are reviving our seven side, and also this is also the selection ground for the Youth World Championship, and we are anticipating the competition to be quite good. Yeah, seeing that the two big zones that are going to be participating this year are coming in, like the eastern zone and the southern zone.
The age criteria for the Youth Olympics is for athletes up to 18 years of age. Selectors will have their eyes on players in the under 17 grade to choose a formidable squad.
We had extended our invitation to FRU to come and use this as grounds for selection, and that is why the intensity of the competition in the under 17 will be high. And all students have also been informed, the teams have been informed, so we are looking forward to that competition to be really exciting.
This weekend's competition will be the first step in the hunt for a podium finish in Nanjing. FBC Sports.
Flying Fijians coach John McKee says he has decided on his assistant coaches. McKee says the names of those who will be tasked in assisting him during the June internationals could be released very soon. A number of former Fiji internationals and local coaches were looked at by McKee before deciding on his team. Meanwhile, local-based players in the Flying Fijian squad march into camp tomorrow in Suva. Before the Fiji Sports Commission was set up, government contributed about $500,000 a year for sports development. This year, that sum has risen past $2 million, and with major events coming up, the Commission is anticipating another increase in funding for 2015. Elena MacDonald reports national sporting federations have been given until the end of June to submit their budgets.
The Fiji Sports Commission has a lot on their plate.
Next year is going to be a challenge for us because we have, the World Champs for rugby, World Champs for netball, a number of other major tournaments, including PNG and the South Pacific Games, I should say.
With so much money involved, the Commission is fixed on a no-handout policy.
We want to make sure that they have got, development plans in play, that they're following their own constitutions, that's the main one, and we're now asking them to please provide us with audited accounts. We need to see that their accounts are in order.
Hosting international events is another priority for the Commission. Netball's Tri-Series event proved successful. Football Under-20s World Cup qualifiers is next, while there's room made for basketball, golf and hockey later this year.
What sports gives back to the economy is huge. The Prime Minister himself has mentioned it. There's been a figure of 100 million just in remittances, and we have to realise this.
The $2 million grant from the Fiji Sports Commission will see 7 sports in Fiji benefit over the next 3 years with qualified coaches. Professionalism in sports is finally at our doorstep. Now it's a matter of getting everyone on the same page to move forward. Elena McDonald, FBC Sports.
The Oceania Football Confederation believes the upcoming Under-19 Championships could be the best to date. Teams from around the Pacific will battle it out in Suva from Friday in an effort to book a ticket to the Under-20 World Cup in New Zealand next year. Indra Singh has more.
Smiles all around as the OFC officials are all excited about the start of the Under-19 Championships at a venue classed as world-class.
Our competitions manager came and had a look at the venue. It's definitely world-class in terms of the pitch, in terms of the seating and the provision for the spectators, in terms of the lights, and with accommodation options for the teams.
No New Zealand, most would think the competition will be easy-going, but the top brass understand what is at stake, which will make the week-long tournament unpredictable.
The squads that have been declared, the standard of play is going to be very, very high. And we're all ready and the venue looks beautiful, so ready for 5 match days of brilliant entertainment.
While Fiji will be the crowd puller, Lodala could also be decked out with the fans from other nations.
You know, we're lucky that the Champions League just finished last week, so the interest in terms of football in the region is very high. As you say, the USP is in very close proximity. We expect quite a lot of students to come out and support their countries, you know, and it's just going to create a very noisy atmosphere here at the stadium.
The hosts are working on the final touches to the game to ensure success.
The focus of the boys is always towards the championship, to do their level best and winning the championship. We will be doing on mostly the finishing work and some shaping up of the team, some set pieces, that's it.
All in all, the action should be spectacular, and the goal of making it to the World Cup is just an extra goalmouth to aim at for these teams. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
18 of the world's top female surfers will feature in Fiji's first Women's Pro Surfing Championship at Cloudbreak in Tavarua. The championship begins Saturday and will run for a week. The event has excited local surfers, especially with World Junior Champ and Kiwi surfer Ella Williamson participating.
Very good for her, and it's going to be a very excitement event for the girls this year. I think it's a good thing that we're going to have all the Fijian female surfers there will be watching, and they will improve themselves too. But that's why it's a good thing to have these girls pro this year.
The Women's Fiji Pro will be held from May 25th to the 30th. 2 weeks later, the Men's Fiji Pro, formerly known as the Volcom Fiji Pro, will take place. Fiji has been allowed one wildcard, which will be determined following trials tomorrow. That was your sports for tonight. It's back to Jackie now with business.
Today, May 20th, is associated with love and romance in China. A number of Chinese couples who won a contest are celebrating the day in Denarau after winning a free honeymoon in Fiji. This is one of the first tourism events with the honeymoon theme to be held in the country, with the hope of attracting more Chinese travellers and lovers. Christopher Chand reports.
It's a romantic day for these Chinese couples, but with a twist of Fijian culture and hospitality.
For 20th of May, it means I love you, 我爱你. On 12th or 14th means I love you forever. Yes, so in this meaning is I love you forever in Fiji, I love you. So we want to make Fiji our special love destination.
20 couples won a competition in China to come to Fiji on this special day to show their love and affection for each other.
I didn't know there was a honeymoon competition. Until I arrived here, I knew it was a honeymoon competition. Then I say, it is 15 years overdue, let's do it.
The event event was covered in the Chinese media with the hope of attracting more tourists to Fiji.
Fiji is a very nice, beautiful place. People here are very honest.
China is a very important market for us in Fiji. In a very short time span, it has grown significantly over the years.
It is estimated that 90 million Chinese visitors traveled around the world last year, and the number is increasing. With this day being meant for love, these couples' love for each other has grown stronger, and they have fallen in love with Fiji. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
And Trish is here with the weather. Are we in for another cool night?
Yes, Jackie, that trough that brought rain on the weekend has moved off to the east, and now we are under the influence of cool southerly winds. But before we get to tonight, let's look at today's map, where cloudy skies covered Suva and Lambasa early in the day and cleared out in the afternoon. Savu was the only center with showers in the morning, leaving cloudy skies later in the day. Nadi Lotokamba had fine weather all throughout the day. However, clear skies mean cool nights, and they'll drop to a very cool 16 overnight, so get that other blanket out. Temperatures today, we have Suva, Nandi and Lotoka Savu on 28, whereas Ba and Lambasa hit 29. Turning to tomorrow's forecast, Suva will have fine weather with cloudy skies in the afternoon. For the rest, good news. Fine weather on tap for Nandi, Lotoka, Ba and Savu all day. The further outlook, southerly winds 10 to 15 knots and moderate seas to moderate southerly winds. Finally, with our picture of the day, taken at the University of the South Pacific by Tyrone Fong.
Thanks so much for that, Trish. The headlines once again. A Bangladeshi national who was detained by the Immigration Department in Nandi without what he felt was a proper explanation is now demanding answers. 8 men have been acquitted of raping a 17-year-old woman in Savu, and there will be 10 public holidays next year, with Cabinet approving a National Sports Day public holiday. To our poll question now: should tollways be introduced on the roads? Here's what one person had to say on the poll. This will result in not relying on the government to upgrade the bridges and roads. The money collected from the toll fees will be able to take care of that. Now, to have your say, visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's FBC News tonight. We'll be back tomorrow evening. Until then, from the team and I, good evening.
Talita na Radio Fiji 1 na mwirani nonda kunua.
Ando talita kana borro na Radio Fiji 1 singa toka mboleta ni station ni Alumatua.
Ando talita kabale una borro na Radio Fiji 1 station ni Alumatua ilo toka.
Ando talita kabale una borro na Radio Fiji 1 na mandi na station ni Alumatua.
Au tungo korbo ando borro mo leve na station ni Alumatua na Radio Fiji 1. Ando borro na Radio Fiji 1 na station ni Alumatua na mandoi tele.
Na Radio Fiji 1 ando mo ibiti na bonga ni BNN.